Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jennifer Johnson, and I have been a retailer, a small business owner for over 25 years. It all started with a small bridal shop back in Minnesota, and now, fast forward 25 years later, I own True Fashionistas, which is the largest lifestyle resale store in the state of Florida. Which brings me to where we're at today. I really thank each and every one of you for being here with me today. I'm really glad that you chose to spend this time with me this afternoon. Today, we're not going to talk about strategy. We're going to talk about clarity because when things feel heavy or confusing, it's usually not because we're doing something wrong. That's usually not why. It's because we're really unclear, and clarity changes absolutely everything. And this is why so many businesses feel stuck. It's not a strategy problem typically that we're dealing with. It's usually the clarity problem. And we're going to talk a lot about that today. So we're going to get started. And I want to ask, does any of this sound familiar to any of you? When clarity is missing, whether it's in your life or it's in your business, for businesses, I can say that when clarity is missing, marketing feels really scattered. You try a little of everything. It's like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks, is essentially what it's like. You attract clients and you attract customers that really don't feel aligned with you or with your business. And even when things actually do work out, there's something that still feels off, even though you can't really pinpoint what it is. If this sounds familiar, you're certainly not alone. There's many, many business owners out there who feel the same way. I have to say, there's been so many times in my life as a business owner that I have worked with clients who it just didn't feel right, but I went, you know what? I need the business. I need the money coming in the door, so I'm going to work with them. And guess what? It rarely works out how it should because again, they're not aligned with me, they're not aligned with the vision of my company, and therefore it doesn't feel right. So I keep attracting the wrong clients if I keep doing that. And that goes back to decisions feeling heavy and things feeling scattered. So it's not a failure. You're not a failure. Your business isn't a failure. And if you read the quote that I have on here, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that it won't work. Thomas Edison said that about inventing the light bulb because he tried so many different ways and none of them worked, but he figured out they didn't work. So it doesn't mean that you're bad at business. It just means that you have been building without a clear foundation. It's misalignment is really what it is. And guess what? The good news is it is fixable. I'm going to share with you a really quick story. Oh gosh, this has been several years ago now. My husband and I, who own the business, we were approached by a national mall company to put a store in their location. And me, I'm all, oh my gosh, they want us, they love our company. And I got so excited. I let my ego get in the way. And I said, we have to do this. We have to try this. So guess what? My husband's the one that drug his feet on it. And he said, I'm not sure that this is for us. I don't think that it aligns with us and what we're doing. But I pushed forward and I said, we have to do this. We have to do this. And guess what? Within 9 months, we were out of that location. It didn't work. It was not aligned with who we were as a company. But guess what? It was fixable. It was fixable because we were able to leave. So, not a failure, but you're learning something from the situation. This all brings us to what we're talking about today, which is core values. What are core values? Well, they're the beliefs that guide your decision in your business and in your life. They act as guideposts and guardrails, helping you figure out where you're supposed to go. And they also protect you from what doesn't serve you. They protect your energy. So you need to ask yourself some really big questions, and we're going to get into those when we're looking at our core values. Because ultimately, the core values are what also help shape your brand. They are who you are. They are an extension of who you are. If you are the owner of the business, your personal core values most often reflect in your business as well. So values are lived. They're not just posted. They're not just words on a wall. They show up in your decisions. They show up in the boundaries and the behaviors in your company. And if your values don't show up in your calendar, or they don't show up in your calendar, they don't show up in your clients or your boundaries, they're just words. How many times have you come up with, let's say it's a slogan or a saying or something for your business, and you thought, oh my gosh, this is the best saying ever, and you put it up on your wall? And let's say it's something about customer service. But let's say you're always getting people coming in and saying, oh, they don't have great customer service. Are you really living up to those words on the wall? Are they just words on a wall? And values are not just supposed to be posted, they are supposed to be lived. So essentially, if they don't show up in your real decisions, they don't change anything. And that's a big one. What is the cost of not knowing what your values are? Well, without values, there's definitely a cost. You have shiny object syndrome. And what does that mean? Shiny object syndrome? Oh my gosh, how many times have you been pulled away because you found a new program that you could implement in your business, or you found a new software that would be great? There's a myriad of things that we can see as shiny object syndrome. And I've fallen victim to it. I know many other business owners have fallen victim to it. So that's one of the costs of not knowing. Another one is burnout. If you just keep going and doing what you're doing and figuring out, oh my gosh, I just have to do all of this myself, I can't attract the right employees, that ultimately leads to burnout. And knowing what your values are will lead you to the right employees. And then a business that feels really heavy. Remember at the very beginning, I mentioned that heavy feeling because you really don't know which way you should go. So you need to quietly ask yourself right now, what has this already cost me? Not knowing what my values are as a company, or maybe even as an individual. What does this cost me, and what does it cost my business? Now, I've been there. I absolutely have. And I really could not pinpoint what one thing was off in my business. Well, it's because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who our company was. Once I figured that out, that changed everything. And that's what clarity does. Clarity changes everything. When your values are clear, everything begins to shift. Now, mind you, we all have values and core values. But the problem is we've not taken the time to figure out what they are, to unearth them. But once you know what they are, your confidence replaces that second guessing where you're thinking, should I do this? Should I not do this? I'm not sure. Go back to your core values because your core values are going to help lead that way and show you what to do. Decision making gets easier and marketing becomes simpler because, again, confidence is being replaced by that second guessing. And it's not because life gets easier. That is certainly not why. It's just because you are aware of who you are at the core. Now, the right questions really do matter. And in my course, I take you through all of the questions that you can ask yourself. If you're sitting around a table with a piece of paper and a pen and you're like, I have no idea where to start, I don't know what my core values are, I guide you through in my course with questions, those questions to ask yourself, because clarity doesn't come from a Google search. It doesn't come from looking at ChatGPT saying, what are my core values? I'm sorry, ChatGPT and Google, no AI is going to know who you are as an individual or as a business. It comes from asking those right questions. One of the questions that you ask yourself should be, what frustrates me? What is it? Is it people that aren't honest, or is it, when my customers are not being served properly? What is it that really frustrates you? What is it that you want more of? Now, these are a few of the questions that I ask in the course. So, what do you want more of? Do you want more of surrounding yourself with people who are of like mind? Perhaps that's what it is. You really need to sit down, and it's not going to take you. I can't sit here and say, oh, it's going to take you an hour or 2 hours. It's all very individualized as to how long it takes you, and it is definitely a process. Another big one is, how do you want to be remembered? This is a big one because maybe it's not how you're living your life right now, or not how you're running your business right now. Maybe I want to be remembered as someone who is very giving, and you're not really being very giving right now. It gives you that runway to adjust, to go, you know what? That's really how I want to be remembered. And it helps you look within yourself so that you can begin living that life as a business owner and as a company to reflect what your core values are. And these questions really do unlock powerful insights into what your core values are. When you really take time to answer these questions, it really helps guide you on how you want to show up. So your answers reveal patterns. When you really look at what how you're answering these questions, you're going to see some obvious patterns that are revealing themselves to you, which ultimately reveals your values and the direction that you should be going. And often it's a really big aha moment for people. Your decisions become so much simpler when you know what your values are and you're very clear with them, and you have them written down somewhere and you have them in your head and you live them and you believe them because that's who you are. You feel empowered. You feel aligned. You stop forcing things that don't fit. You've heard the saying, fitting a round peg into a square hole. You stop doing that because, again, it goes back to, you know who you are at the core. And you start building with intention instead of reaction. How many times have you had something happen in your business and you just reacted? So many times that I can think of alone, whether it's an upset customer or an employee who quits. If you know what your values are and you're living by them, it's going to help even that out and help you go, how should I respond? Sit back and take a moment. I had to say, I was always a yes girl, always. And now I think about things a lot more and filter them through my core values. In fact, I have two words. I don't know how many of you actually do words of the year, but I have two words of the year that I picked for 2026. The first one is trust, because we do have to have that trust. But the second one speaks to what we're talking about today, and that is the word no. When I have things presented to me, I am now looking at what I'm doing or what I'm being asked to do and go, you know what? Does this fit with my core values? Is this who I am or who I want to be? If it's not, my answer is going to be no. I know that's a hard thing to say sometimes, but so that leads into, core values really are a filter for every decision, every choice that you have to make. Instead of asking, should I do this? You ask, does this align with who I am and what I'm building for? And does it serve me? Does it support the life that I want to live? And if it doesn't, you have that choice to say one syllable word, which is no. And often the simplest, hardest word to ever come out of your mouth. But it's a must if you want to live by your core values. Values shape your brand. Your brand isn't just your logo. It's not your website. It's not your colors and all of that. It's how they feel when they actually interact with you and they interact with your employees. Clear values ultimately build trust. It helps you attract the right people, create those connections. It's even how we hire. That's true. It's even how we hire. And I have to say, once we figured out, or I figured out what my core values were, and I've been leading this way for several years. What we do is we ask questions at the interviews based on our core values. And let me tell you, it has definitely changed our hiring. We are more apt to get a candidate in the door and hired that fits with our core values as a company by asking the questions from our core values. So trust is built through consistency in how you show up, in how you communicate, and how you make decisions. When your values align and they guide your actions, trust becomes the natural result. Your customers are going to trust you, your employees are going to trust you. Core values are not a one and done kind of thing. It's not that you sit down and you jot them down on a piece of paper right now and you walk away and you're done and you're like, all right, next project. They're not. They are there to guide you every single day, and core values can change over time. You can add things, you can remove things, and that's the joy of them. But again, it goes back to core values show up in how you show up, in what you say yes to and what you say no to. So I'm going to invite you into the ability to go deeper on core values. You get to choose what you're building for what you stand for, and how you want to feel while you're building it. Clarity isn't about having all of the answers. It certainly is not, because things come to you every single day. It's about giving yourself permission to build something that's aligned with you and with your brand, something that's meaningful and something that's actually sustainable. Because so many times we have these lofty goals and we set out and we come up with these elaborate programs, but at the end of the day, it's not sustainable. But when we look at core values, it is sustainable because it's how you live your life. It's how you practice every single day. It's something that you live by. Again, core values guide your decisions and help you stay within that realm of who you are. Now, if something stirred in you today, I want you to pay attention to that. I want you to be honest with that. I want you to be intentional, because that's where the big changes happen. So you get to choose, who are you building for? And what do you stand for? And how do you want to feel while you're actually building that and doing that? I want this for you because a long time ago, I didn't have this for me. And I wondered why the wheels were always falling off, why there was always a fire drill every single day. It was Groundhog Day every single day. I'm not saying that with core values, everything is going to be perfect. It's certainly not, but it's going to help guide you in all of those decisions that you make every single day. And now I want to invite you, if something again stirred in you today, I want you to invite you into the possibility of taking my course of core values and taking a stand for what matters to you. Actually, it's on sale right now. It's $47, so it's 50% off. I have included a QR code here to connect with me. But I know India is standing by. Sorry, Indy. Indy is standing by, and I know that there may be some questions, and if there are, I'm here to answer them. And but definitely invite you into the possibility of taking the course, because it definitely will change your business and it will change you personally as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Jennifer. We do have a question. We have one from Lydia. She said, I'm sure a lot of business owners think this. What if your business is a partnership and you may not have the exact same values?
Oh, that is a really good question. So this is a time for you and your partner to sit down and have a one-on-one and decide what's important to both of you. What are your non-negotiables? Maybe it's the top three non-negotiables for each, because I also get the question asked, well, how many do I have to have? And again, that is totally up to you. But maybe you guys sit down and determine what are your non-negotiables, and that's your starting point. That's where you start from, because there has to be some common ground. If you're in business together as a partnership, there's certainly something that brought you both together. So you have to have some sort of a core value system that does match up in certain places. But that would be my best advice to you.
Great answer. Thank you so much for that. And I think that is all of the questions we have. I think you hit a lot of the big ones. So again, thank you so much for coming on today. And Jennifer's course is on sale, 50% off through this Friday. So definitely check it out. I put the link in the comments.
Fabulous. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Bye, Jennifer.
Bye.